The clubhouse at Sayre National is your spot. Maybe you just need a spot to relax after a round of golf. The sports bar at Sayre National is the place with huge TVs and plenty of cold beverages to turn those bogeys on the course into birdies afterward. Don't forget the banquet room can hold a lot of folks with access to the sports bar as well. Come enjoy the atmosphere at Sayre National, Western Oklahoma's most inclusive club.
If you build it, he will.
It's the Skinny on Sports Podcast with Aaron Cowk.
I throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Cowk with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
And a good Monday morning out there, Western Oklahoma. Welcome to the Skinny on Sports. On location here at Sayre National. And, man, it was like, where did the fog go? When I pulled in here, you could barely see, like, number 8 green out the window. And now, see all the way up the hill to 3 to number 1. There's already some folks out here getting ready to tee off. So come on out, Sayre National. Get you around in. It's going to be gorgeous, looks like today. The flags are just laying limp on the pins. Be a nice time to get out there and get going here at Sayre National. It was an awesome weekend with the alumni tournament, the alumni bash. Great stuff. This weekend, of course, the Bob coming up at the end of the month. Thursday night scrambles got kicked off last week, so lots of stuff going on here at Sayre National. Oh, yeah, it looks like somebody has seen the Masters Fantasy Leaderboard Final.
Already jumping in, huh?
Yeah, show me the money.
Or barely.
Show me the money. You know, we're going to show you another T-shirt like you had on during the golf tournament Saturday.
He already has one.
He already has a green one.
Well,
have to get a different color. The winner was Drew. As Drew overtook Jay right at the end by 2 points.
Wow.
So congratulations to Drew winning the Masters Fantasy Contest. You end up 3rd. I was 7th. My team got a lot better when I replaced Rory McIlroy with John Rahm.
Oh, I bet.
As it turned out. And then, Jordan Spieth going crazy the last day helped too.
Poor Rory.
With all the birdies. Yeah, we'll talk about the Masters. Thunder in the play-in tournament as Oklahoma City, they knew they were in on Friday. Dallas, after we got off the air on Friday, we were talking about what needed to happen. The Mavs then came out and basically just kind of said, nobody's playing against the Bulls that night. Luka played a little bit. But Chicago ended up beating Dallas 115-112. So at that point, you knew the Thunder were in. And then yesterday, everybody played their G League team, essentially, for 48 minutes. And so that was a good weekend. So we'll talk about that, the play-in tournament, the Masters, and what we did this weekend as well. 225-9698 is the phone or the text line. 225-9698. Give us a call, shoot us a text. We can talk about any of those things. Whatever else is on your mind, feel free to chime in at 225-9698. If you're outside the listening area, you can stay in touch with us live online at kadsam.com. You can download the Paragon app. The app's got it all. It's got radio. It's got the Penny News. It's got Big Elk and Paragon TV. Of course, the Big Elk, the Skinny on Sports podcast as well. If you miss our show entirely, you can go back and check that out at all kinds of different locations. kadsam.com, iTunes, Spotify. It's everywhere.
Amazon, it's everywhere.
Everywhere you can find podcasts, we are there now. Good morning, Jared. How are you?
I'm good. Have a good holiday weekend?
I spent a lot of it right here.
I bet.
At Sayre National. We ended up playing Friday in the horse race. And then, of course, the tournament Saturday. There was food trucks out here. We ate lunch after the parade on Saturday afternoon. Or Saturday morning, the parade. We ate lunch out here before we started playing golf. And Drew makes a great point.
Well, that's rare. Save that text.
At the parade, we were discussing it, and I told him, well, we got to switch your players out because Roy didn't make the cut, and he went with John Rahm. So he said, I owe my win to me. He owes it to me. It's fair.
There you go. T-shirts are over there.
That's fair. So I get the T-shirt. Yeah,
Full disclosure, I didn't know you could switch them out. I know you were curious about it, and I didn't go back and look, but that's probably a good thing. I wonder if there's anything I could have done. Because I'm going off the top of my head, I had Rahm. I think the one that failed me, I think I picked DJ. I don't know, my app was being silly. I couldn't see who
Rory to Hovland. Yeah, that worked. That was the switch.
Oh, that's a good
Drew
switch.
Made. Rory to Hovland.
Anyways, shout out to everybody who joined in because we did that very last minute. And we had how many?
29.
That's pretty good. Because, we were like, hey, let's just do this like on a Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So, and shout out to Sarah National and Mr. Jimmy Clark helping us out with the prize. Kind of last minute as well.
Jay was let down in the final round by Max Homa. Let down by Max Homa. Max was pretty down on himself, too, if we're being honest. I saw his tweet and had another disappointing Masters for Homa. I guess let's start there with what happened down at Augusta National. I thought it was just a really interesting tournament. You got the battle of the two big-time, major-type winners for all day yesterday. 30 holes straight of Rahm and Koepka. You got some guys chasing. The guys that were the closest really did nothing. Hovland and Cantlay fell apart. They fell down the leaderboard. The guys that did play great yesterday was that one group of Phil and Jordan Spieth. How about Phil Mickelson? Listen, it's no secret that I cannot stand Phil Mickelson, but you have to give him so much credit at 52 years old to go out and play the way he did. I mean, he's just a bad morning yesterday finishing up the third round from being right there in contention to win the Masters at 52 years old. It was an incredible performance by Phil.
Yeah, I was wondering what the mixed reviews would be like on his performance just because of who he is and the live thing, but that is incredible. Was it tied for the oldest to finish that high at 52 years? He might beat it by months or days or something like that. I think I saw that stat up there. Would have been a heck of a thing if Rahm had fallen off a little bit and Phil was able, like you said, recover from that other start. But pretty impressive. Now, on the other side, you got Brooks Koepka. I mean, it looked like it was his to lose, and he did. But what do you think about his performance?
He was really good. He's an interesting case because he's had so much success in the majors. But the last four final rounds have not gone well. Think back to Phil at Kiowa, trying to catch Francesco Molinari, and it turned out to be Tiger, really, in 2019 at the Masters. He's kind of lost it a little bit in the final round. You see shots starting to go left. That was a big deal at Kiowa, trying to chase down Phil. Was all of a sudden he was starting to miss these shots left because he hits a left to right shot, and then it was going straight or even a draw. I mean, I think it's a really good week for him because you could tell, okay, he is healthy. He is, he even made the point after the second round, I think, that if he would have been as healthy as he is now, maybe he makes a different choice as far as the live golf stuff. I think one of the biggest winners of the entire weekend was live golf. We see three of their guys finishing in the top five with Koepka and Mickelson and Patrick Reed. I think they're a big winner in this. But by far the biggest winner, it's the guy that won the golf tournament, John Rahm. Think about what he did and how well he played. He spots everybody two shots on the first hole with a 4-putt. he plays in the worst of the conditions. He had the bad draw. He had the morning afternoon draw.
Yep.
And he still beat everybody by 4. I think when you look back, sure, Koepka had the lead going into the third and the fourth rounds. But to me, where the tournament changed was when Rahm was able, in his second round, to start out. He was in a little bit of trouble. Kind of, and then, of course, the tree falls down on Friday. They stop. He comes back and finishes out that second round very well. And gets within 2 of Koepka. I think it was 13 and 11 after 2 rounds. I think that's where he really kind of won this tournament because he didn't fall so far back. He was able to play through those conditions, play through the cold on Saturday morning play through the rain and get himself where he was after round 2. After Koepka had the perfect draw, all the good weather on Thursday afternoon, finishing up Friday before anything ever happened. And so he kind of had his feet kicked up, and we had talked about it Friday. How far ahead is he going to be?
Right.
Now, could he be 5-6 shots ahead by the time with all the weather? And it sure enough rolled in. But credit to Jon Rahm for being able to battle through that to put himself. I mean, yesterday, by the time the third round was completed and the fourth round started, even though he started out down 2, I really had no doubt he was going to win. Because he had put himself into that position, fighting through everything that he had to fight through. And he was magnificent yesterday. He just really, really played well.
After this tournament, who's a name that we need to keep an eye on? We're all going to look at what Sam Bennett does next through his collegiate career. It's funny, his next tournament, you see that
today.
Tweet?
Today. Right now.
And he has to carry his own bag, and the payout's much less. But no, it's not even a payout. I think it's a college tournament.
Yeah.
But who do you think? There's always going to be those names that we know. But did anybody else stand out? You go, you know what? This guy could be. He performed well. This could springboard him.
Hovland is always kind of there, but gosh, the pitching is just not good enough. We see it yesterday. On number 6 in the early going, he hits the ball over the green, kind of flubs a chip and 3 putts. The next thing you know, he makes a double bogey and he's done. On the text line, Sam Burns. Sam Burns kind of feels like one of those guys that's rounding into form. Spieth, I think, is another one that kind of went through some ups and downs, and even in this tournament. But he looks like he's kind of prepared to go ahead and win another one. And then but I think my question is more this. You got the top handful of guys with, let's say, Rory and Koepka and DJ and Spieth and Justin Thomas, Rahm. If you look at those, say, 5 to 10, or that 10-guy group there, I mean, who's not picking Jon Rahm to end up winning the most majors out of all of them right now? I mean, he is far and away, in my mind, the best player on earth right now.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah.
Fourth win this calendar season, 4th win in 2023, second major, obviously the first green jacket. And I thought all the stuff surrounding it, would it be in Seve's birthday, would have been Seve's birthday. There was, did you see the what they said about his caddy's jumpsuit thing?
No.
He was number 49. Yesterday, 4-9, Seve's birthday. How crazy is some of that stuff that just the way the numbers works out. But for me, yeah, Rahm, it's this thing. It's Phil and the incredible day he had, and then it's Rahm, and Rahm looking like he's kind of prepared to go on one of those runs. Last thing, I guess, that we can wrap up the Masters is, man, if you're Tiger, what do you do?
Is it painful for you to watch as a fan?
Oh, man.
Growing up, watching him play up to this point now, it's almost he's a shell of himself, and we're not going to get those Tiger roars anymore, it doesn't feel like. Well, we will, but now, again, he's had to withdraw. And I think we were kind of almost expecting that at a point because you're going to have to play extra holes in a day, and could he do it, and without the rest and all that. I don't want to say sad because that's not the word because he has a drive about him, and I understand why he keeps playing, but is it painful to watch?
Oh, man, when you see him, he can barely even limp over to the bag on 17 in the fairway there, and then you realize what's coming up next, and that tread, just that long walk up that hill. I thought to myself, is he going to be able to finish? I don't know if he's going to be able to make it up that hill. Then Jason Day came out and said at Southern Hills he had a screw busted through his skin of his foot. That's why he had to withdraw there. He referenced the plantar fasciitis this time, flared up on him, and that's what kind of happened. I just don't know that it gets better. But here's the thing. He has earned the right to do whatever he wants.
Exactly, yeah.
He's earned that right.
I'm never going to fault him for being out there.
I saw a bunch of people, he's taking a spot from somebody. No, he's not. He's taken the spot from himself because he's the one that has done the work to be in the position to qualify for all, to be where he's at. And so, it's painful. I don't know if sad is the right. I think it's more just painful to watch, because you see that he still can play golf. He absolutely can play golf, but he cannot perform the other task, which is walking the golf course, which is essential. And he said this week he's not doing it. He'll ride the cart when it's available, which means 50, which means senior tour, which is closer than you think away. But it is certainly painful to watch him play. And it takes away. It really kind of takes away from the accomplishment of tying Fred Couples and Gary Player with the longest consecutive cut streak made at the Masters at 23. He's actually never missed one. I think Fred made his first 23 as well before he finally missed the cut back in 2006, I think, was the first time Fred missed the cut. He gets to play every year because he's won.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that's quite just makes it like
he's earned that. Yeah, he's earned that right. Yeah,
and it's not, like I said, at least at the Masters, they're not filling his spot with somebody else.
No.
It's his spot if he wants it. So it is. It was painful there on Saturday morning to watch that, and I think we all knew what was coming.
Well, it's a pretty cool story. You mentioned Fred Couples, to see him make the cut.
Oldest in the history to make the cut. Didn't play great on the weekend, but he did for the first two rounds. So, it's funny to watch those guys, the Phils and Fred or Tiger, whoever, that have been there so many times, where you're not – if this had been any other golf tournament, you'd be shocked at what Phil did. I mean, like, shocked. Genuinely shocked. But there, it's like, I can see it.
Yeah.
They know how to play that golf course, and it gets them juiced up to play, and – yeah, and some have the level of what Phil still has to be able to reach out there and get all the way up the leaderboard like he did. Others, like Fred, have the ability to make cuts, and it's stretching him out a long ways to hit it, even though he still hits it pretty good. All right, we better take a break. When we come back, a little bit of Thunder talk, as the Oklahoma City Thunder will be in the play-in tournament coming up on Wednesday, a different opponent than what we thought it might be. And with everything that happened yesterday surrounding the Wolves, maybe that's a bad thing. We'll come back from Sayre National to Skinny on Sports right here on the Sports Animal.
The clubhouse at Sayre National is your spot. Maybe you just need a spot to relax after a round of golf. The sports bar at Sayre National is the place, with huge TVs and plenty of cold beverages to turn those bogeys on the course into birdies afterward. Don't forget the banquet room can hold a lot of folks with access to the sports bar as well. Come enjoy the atmosphere at Sayre National, Western Oklahoma's most inclusive club.
The Skinny on Sports.
Mark! Yeah! Yeah!
Welcome back, Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal, hanging out at Sayre National here this morning. Already a few groups out on the golf course going up the hill on number one. Excuse me. Gorgeous morning to start here on a Monday. Jim Traber coming up in the next segment, but first, Jared, the Thunder do make it into the play-in tournament. As Oklahoma City, they went ahead and won yesterday against Memphis, but after the loss on Friday by Dallas, Oklahoma City's spot was already in their hands. They're going to end up playing New Orleans as opposed to Minnesota, which, if you just look at what happened yesterday, might be a bad thing. Minnesota had a fight on the bench. Jaden McDaniels and punched the wall and broke his hand. It looks like he's going to be out. So really kind of a crazy last day for the Timberwolves yesterday. But for OKC, a team that was a season-long over-under, was 23.5 out in Vegas. Most people thought that would be probably a pretty good bet to go under because of that carrot hanging out there in the draft of Wembanyama and the Thunder being on the tank plan. Instead, they had a surprisingly fantastic season, 40 wins, and now here they are making it into the play-in game. Just a really, really good year for Oklahoma City.
Yeah, this is all bonus basketball at this point because I've been saying it all season long. Anything that happens, if it's a win, it's a bonus. And they won a lot, 40 games, compared to what Vegas thought they'd do. And the future's definitely bright moving forward. I think is the tanking done? I mean, are we putting dirt on it? It's over. It's all about progression and moving forward. So whatever happens Wednesday night, I'm okay with it because, let's face it, we did not expect to be playing at this time of year going into the season. So great job, Thunder. I'm looking forward to it. New Orleans, though, you'd almost want Minnesota, but not just because of I guess it was on-court, but off-court issues that they're having. But New Orleans and OKC, New Orleans just kind of, they match up better with OKC. They have this year anyways.
Yeah, 3-1, but the three losses have come by 3, and 4, or something like that.
They've had a way. The guys this morning or before us were saying this. I'm going to give them credit for this, but it's true. They have a way. It's like they know how to defend SGA enough.
Well, yeah, it's called Herb Jones. Yeah. But it's very true. SGA has he's scored, but he hasn't been nearly as efficient against New Orleans as he has against basically everybody else. No Zion. It's funny, we talked about it on Friday, not really thinking about the look ahead to this possible matchup, but no Zion for New Orleans. No, this is really kind of similar teams as far as some younger teams. You know, obviously nobody's as young as the Thunder, but with some, both kind of missing a piece that could make them possibly go up to higher levels. We've seen it with New Orleans. What was that stat? They were like 23-11 with him, with Zion, until he was out starting on January 2nd and hadn't returned. And then you hope that that's the type of impact that Holmgren will have coming up next year for Oklahoma City. A similar effect on wins and losses from the Oklahoma City big guy that was drafted second in the draft and hadn't played all year. But I think it's going to be – it's just, like you said, it's almost icing on the cake. Sure, you want to win and have a chance to get in. If you don't, you fall back into the lottery somewhere, and then you start hoping for a massive amount of luck to be able to move up and get another guy that will, kind of go along with what they're doing. But I think not only just making it, but making this then also lets you realize just how bright the future appears to be right now for the Oklahoma City Thunder. All right, let's step aside. When we come back, I'm sure we'll talk more about that, more about the Masters, all kinds of other stuff, as the ultimate Jim Traber will be joining us. An interesting signing in the NFL. What is going on, Jared? What are the Ravens doing? What are they doing?
That's interesting.
What are they doing?
To say the least.
We'll be back here from Sayre National. This is Skinny on Sports right here on The Sports Animal.
The clubhouse at Sayre National is your spot. Maybe you just need a spot to relax after a round of golf. The sports bar at Sayre National is the place, with huge TVs and plenty of cold beverages to turn those bogeys on the course into birdies afterward. Don't forget the banquet room can hold a lot of folks with access to the sports bar as well. Come enjoy the atmosphere at Sayre National, Western Oklahoma's most inclusive club.
Are you crying? Are you crying?
Skinny on Sports.
There's no crying in baseball.
Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM, The Sports Animal, visiting about the weekend out here at Sayre National, the alumni tournament, the alumni bash. Great success here at the golf course for sure. Joining us now, and the voice is the voice you'll hear at 2 o'clock here on these airwaves. It's the ultimate Jim Traber. Jim, how are you this morning?
Well, I'm good, man. I'm worn out. And last night I played in a poker tournament online, and the dang one thing, I finished third in a pretty big tournament, and I didn't go to bed until like 3 o'clock. So that's not good for me. I'm an old man. I can't be doing that.
Well, the Masters this weekend, it was kind of a start and stop and a wild ride all the way through. But for me, the guy that played the best golf throughout the 4 days won the golf tournament, and Jon Rahm. Just talk about what your thoughts were on watching the Masters.
Well, first of all, I don't dislike Rahm. I like him, but I wanted Koepka to win. You know how I feel, guys, about the live and everything.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about this before. I was really happy that he was in it. Of course, it gets credence to some of these idiots on the Golf Channel that were saying, I wonder how the Live Tour, how they're going to play that fourth round, blah, blah, blah. Well, Phil Mickelson's 100 years old, and he shot 65 on the last day, so I guess it's not affecting him very much. Unfortunately, Koepka just fell apart on the weekend, and I say weekend, it was his Sunday. He did not play well in the morning, and he did not play well in the afternoon. And, Rahm, it's either Rahm or Scheffler. They just keep going back and forth who's number one in the world. And Rahm was the one this weekend. So, really impressive. Boy, he is a great golfer. He really is, man. I mean, every part of his game is good, you know? And so it was fun to watch. I wish it would have been a little bit closer, but he made it not close. And then Victor Hovland, he needs to go back to his home country, Norway, and get some of those like cold springs, you know, and figure out what the heck is wrong with him, because some of the shots that he hit yesterday were just horrible. I mean, it's almost, I hate to say it, but it just seems like when it comes down to it, fellas, he chokes it all. And look, the guy's he's a multi-millionaire. He could never play another golf tournament and be fine for the rest of his life. I understand all that. And I know that when you say choked, it's a little bit too much for a professional golfer or a professional athlete. It's great. But I don't know what's going on, Skinny, because he does this kind of thing a lot. You know, he does. And you know this, the number one thing about nerves and stuff is when you're chipping and doing that stuff, you know? Yeah. I mean, that's the number one thing with your hands and everything, about how much you have to be so careful with them. And I don't know if he's nervous or what, but it is, some of the shots he hit yesterday were just bad.
Yeah, he was just I wonder how much the pace of play in his group affected him, because Cantlay is ridiculous. 4 hours and 50 minutes for a twosome in the final round of the Masters is embarrassing. And, man, I really, with Koepka, I think that affected him a little bit more. It did not affect Rahm. You know, Rahm just seemed like oblivious to all of it, right? I mean, he was, you know, he started out with the 4-putt on number one on Thursday, played in the bad part of the draw as far as the weather goes, and he still won by 4. It's just incredible for him. But on the Hovland side, you're right. We all know, anybody that plays golf and has played golf in pressure situations, you know how your hands, how it affects those short shots, because if you're a little bit nervous, it's hard to control exactly what's going on with your hands.
Yeah, and I don't know what he needs to do. I don't know if he needs to go see a psychiatrist or what. I don't know. But you're right about Rahm. I mean, to start off double bogey and then go 9 under the first game a day. And then, of course, all I heard yesterday was how bad Tiger had it with the weather and blah, blah, blah. Okay. But you know what? 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Tiger would have cruised. You know, Tiger, it could have been perfect, and it was going to be bad for Tiger. Now, as someone who is having, you know, back problems and other problems, when the weather's like that, it's worse. I mean, it's just the way it is. But, yeah, you're right. Rahm had the worst part of the whole thing and beat everybody. So that should show everybody the excuses. Now, it does happen. There's no doubt that, you know, there is a little bit of luck involved. You know, if you get the morning or the afternoon on Thursday. So all I know is that this dude's unbelievable, and I can't wait to see Rahm and Scheffler. You know, I'd love to see them in the final group of the PGA or the U.S. Open. Because, I mean, let's face it. I mean, Rory McIlroy can talk if he wants, but They're the two best players in the world right now, and I think it's probably a decent amount. I really do.
You spoke about Liv. For me, outside of Rahm, I think Liv Golf is the biggest winner of the weekend. 3 guys in the top 5. What Phil did was just, I mean, I can't stand Phil Mickelson, but man, you gotta give it up to him and respect him for what he did on that final round. Patrick Reed made a little bit of a run, but for me, Liv Golf, it almost felt like they came in as the bad boy or whatever, and they leave kind of being accepted a little bit more than what they were, I think, going in.
We'll see. I mean, it's going to be those old, crustedy, PGA people that are never going to accept it. But I will tell you that you're right. They did well. The Liv did well. They really did. And Mickelson, I don't like him either, but that was amazing. What he birdied 5 of his last 7 holes. I mean, that is really, really impressive. What, 52? Is that what he is now?
Yeah, 52.
52. So, you almost forget about some of these dudes, because of this Liv, because we don't get to see him as much. Like Cameron Smith. I mean, what a great player he is. And, of course, Patrick Reed. I actually picked him in one of my I did one of those deals where you pick from Group 1, Group 2, Group 3. I actually picked him because I really thought that he would play well. And, the whole Liv thing, I just wish it would go away. And I don't mean the Liv go away. I wish all these people that are so upset about it would go away. Just play where you want to. They're making a bunch of money. Be happy for it. Don't give me this Saudi Arabia. If you care about Saudi Arabia, then you better put your cell phones down and everything and stop using everything that we use, because China's the worst ever of everybody in human rights, right? I mean, they are. They're by far worse than Saudi Arabia, but we as Americans always like to pick and choose what we want to get upset about. So I'm not happy with Saudi Arabia. I don't like them. Guess what? They did this, and these other dudes are coming, and they have their own tour, and the tour is going pretty well, and they're making money, so good for them.
Final thought about the Masters, or my final question about the Masters. Who surprised you? I kind of asked Aaron this question earlier. Did anybody stand out and you go, that might be a guy we got to keep an eye on?
I'm trying to think of some. Well, another guy that I picked in that thing was that Sengala guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think he's one that he didn't really surprise me that much, but he's a guy to look out for. So I think he's got a chance to really do some things. I mean, that Sam Bennett, that was awesome what he did. But who did you say somebody? Because I'm trying to think. I mean, Mickelson obviously was the biggest surprise for everybody, but I don't really know if there's any youngster that I was like, oh my gosh, wait for him. But because I do believe that Sengala is going to be a really good golfer. Is there anybody else?
Yeah, we had Sam Burns on the text line just to see him actually do it. Yeah.
I mean, Sam Burns just won the daggone match play. I mean, Sam Burns is turning into a star. So I knew. I don't think there's anybody up there that I was like, wow, this guy is going to be really good. At least I didn't think so. Anybody else?
No, I mean, Phil was the surprise for sure. And, and maybe Fred making the cut, the oldest guy to make the cut, there. But outside of that, it was really – the leaderboard was awesome because it was a lot of the guys you wanted to see be up there and play against each other. My last golf question is this. If I gave you – look into the crystal ball 10 years from now, and, you got that group of guys, the Koepkas, the Rahms, the Spieth, Colin Morikawa, Justin Thomas – Rory, who ends up winning the most majors out of that group?
I think it's probably going to be Rahm. I really do. I just think he is, like I said earlier, he's got every part of the game. He can do everything. He's got that beautiful little cut that he has on his driver, little fade. I mean, that is just, he controls that so beautifully. And then his short game is amazing. What was that 50-yard little pitch shot that he made? I mean, that's, Skinny, that's one of the hardest shots in golf. Puts it up there to about 6 feet. So, I mean, they're just – but I'll tell you what, Scheffler's going to be right there with him because I think Scheffler's a star too. Scheffler just had a couple bad holes. He probably would have been in it too. And then as far as those other dudes, I think the rest of them are kind of what they are, Morikawa is interesting. I thought Morikawa would be a little bit better at this point, but we went over his stats last week, and they're really good. So maybe I'm kind of thinking too much. And I'll tell you, like I talked about earlier, Hovland, I mean, I love the kid and I really want to see him do some stuff, but he better figure some things out because he is really wasting some unbelievable talent with opportunities, I think, to do some really, really impressive stuff.
All right, let's go switch over to the Thunder. If I would have told you before the season started that Oklahoma City would be in the play-in, how crazy would you have thought that was?
Oh, I mean, I thought it would have been crazy. There's no doubt. Scale of 1 to 10, I probably would say about a 7. I mean, you never know in basketball what can happen, but it's impressive. I mean, when you win 40 games and your over/under was 23.5. That's incredible. It really is. We'll see. It's going to be a tough game Wednesday down there in New Orleans because New Orleans they got a squad. They got some talent, even without Zion. But listen, whatever happens on Wednesday, it really doesn't matter because this has been a really good year, and they've found out a lot of things. I hope that I'm not going to get like text messages today about Trey Mann. I hope that's not going to happen. I played one good game all daggone year against, by the way, the other team's bench. But you know what? It really was good for all those dudes to get in there and play. And, you know, I mean, it's good. It's good to see the dudes on the bench that don't, especially those two-way guys, you know, Butler and Sarr. That was really good and cool for them. But now you get serious. Now there's no more development, right? Wednesday night, you're not worrying about who's playing. And, you know, we got to get this guy in there for a little bit. You're going to play your best team Wednesday and get out.
Yeah, I certainly hope Dagnall realizes this game means something. There's no more tanking involved or whatever he went through a couple weeks ago. So you answered my question. I kind of mentioned this too, is that this is bonus basketball. Whatever happens Wednesday night, we should be satisfied. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what they do Wednesday. I mean, you know, it'd be kind of cool if they could win the game and then maybe take a chance of going on the road and beat somebody again, but it doesn't really matter. They've proven a lot of things, and now all we're waiting on is home, right? Well, he's gained some weight. He's still skinny as can be, but he definitely has gained some weight. So that's a good thing. I think we all would have loved to watch him this year, but if you can't watch him, at least it looks like he's been working hard, getting stronger, because that's what he's going to need. Definitely what he's going to need. But, gosh, we need him healthy, and let's see what he can do next year. Next year is going to be a lot of fun. And there's no excuses, no nothing. You go out, you get after it next year. I don't want to hear one time. If I hear the word downstream next year, I'm not going to be very happy.
Downstream and development are two words that we don't need to hear much of next year. I think it's interesting that these two teams are playing because, New Orleans is further down the road than Oklahoma City is. But, when Zion played, I think New Orleans was, 23-11 this year until he got hurt right there in January. They kind of fell off to obviously where they are now. But he seems to make them whole. And if you're a Thunder fan, you hope that the impact that Zion has on winning for New Orleans, Chet Holmgren will be that similar force for Oklahoma City.
I'll tell you, if Holmgren can be as good as Zion, then we've got something great. I mean, because I don't know how much he's ever going to play. I just think that he's a dude that's going to have this drastic, lose like 30 pounds. I mean, that's what he's going to have to do. And I know it's hard, but if he wants to restore his body, of course, he's been paid already, one contract, so he's going to have a bunch of money. But he is a guy that definitely needs to lose some weight and figure out with his body. Maybe he could give some to Holmgren. That'd be nice if he could send some to Holmgren.
Yeah, 30 pounds. It would be nice.
It will be. We got something getting ready good to happen here in Oklahoma City.
What do you make of the whole Minnesota debacle yesterday? What's going on there?
I don't know, dude. I mean, this just doesn't make any sense. Supposedly they're friends, too. But I guess Kyle Anderson, said some bad things to him. And if it's true that what he said is true, well, then I don't have a problem with Gobert punching him. I mean, can't be calling somebody a name like that, talking like that to a dude. Even though we all know that Gobert is soft, you can't be saying it to him as a So I guarantee the coaching staff's like, what in the world are we doing? We are getting ready to try to go in the playoffs and do something, and we got players fighting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just beyond belief. I mean, it's been a long season. I would expect that maybe out of a team that's not going to play, but maybe Minnesota wishes they were a little bit higher, I guess. I don't know, but that was crazy. Absolutely crazy.
As a former professional athlete, have you ever encountered something like that, maybe in the dugout, anything like that?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Did either one of y'all ever fight with a sibling?
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. You know, you spend so much time with these guys that, I mean, it's, you know, you're going to fight. You're with them more than you are your family. So, yeah, there is no doubt that that's going to happen. Now, you'd like for it to happen, like, behind closed doors. You wouldn't like it to happen in front of everybody, but, yeah, that stuff happens. Heck, there was another team. Wasn't there another team that got in a fight, too?
Yeah, it was Plumlee. Right? Yeah, Plumlee and Bones Highland for the Clippers. They did the same thing. They shoved instead of punched, but still, same thing.
Well, Draymond landed a punch on his teammate during a practice.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll tell you what, Draymond's the smartest of one punch him, because if you're going to hit the dude, hit him. Knock him down. I mean, like Gobert, everyone says he's soft in basketball. He's soft in boxing, too. That was kind of like a justified little thing he did. You drill him if you're going to do it.
What are the Ravens doing, Jim? They're playing hardball with Lamar Jackson, which I think both of us don't mind necessarily, but now adding OBJ this morning for $18 million or up to $18 million. Is this a sign that maybe this Lamar thing is going to get worked out and he's going to be the quarterback for the Ravens?
No, I don't think it has anything to do with that. Trust me.
Okay.
I mean, he may come back. I'm not saying he's not gonna. I'm just telling you, fellas, as a Steeler fan, I am so happy. I really am. I'm so happy. The Browns are a fiasco as normal, even though people are picking them to do really good things as usual. And the Ravens are they're imploding right in front of us. And now the Bengals are really good. I mean, there's nothing you can say about the Bengals. But as a Steeler fan, this makes me happy. I cannot believe they gave him $15 million guaranteed. Yeah. I can't believe it. The dude has had 2 ACL surgeries. And how old is he now?
Oh, gosh, he's 32. Yeah, because he was at LSU like 2011. Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, this is 15 guaranteed million? That's crazy. I mean, crazy. So, you know what that is, fellas? That's the between the two. Think about this. Between the two different tags, right? Mm-hmm. You got the non-exclusive and all that other stuff. It's about difference between the two, 32 and like 47. So they're using that $15 million to bring in Odell Beckham. I love it. I love this as a Steelers fan. I just can't see. I can't see this thing working out. I can't, because if he does come back to play at quarterback, you don't want to be there. He's going to be unhappy, and they're not happy with him. So it's just, the whole thing is just crazy. It really is, and they'll keep on messing up. Personally,
yeah, he'll be 31 during the season. Odell Beckham will be.
Okay, 31, a little bit younger than I thought, but should be some. I can't wait, man. We're just a little over 2 weeks away from the draft. A lot of good stuff happening. Good stuff.
As a Dallas fan, I'm just glad they never pulled the trigger on him.
Yeah, I probably agree with you. Now, you guys who'd you pick up as a wide receiver? What was he on?
Cooks, Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's not a star, but he'll help. The key, I mean, listen, you can pick up all the players you want with the Cowboys. The key is with Dak Prescott there. We all know that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not near down on him as a lot of other people are, but if you're going to pay somebody that much money, man, you got to make plays. That's all there is to it. If you're going to pay somebody that much money, you got to make plays. And he didn't make plays last year.
No, he didn't. And unfortunately, we'll see what happens. Last thing, it looks like the pitch clock is working. I read some stats last week where the games have shaved off 30 minutes or so. Stolen bases are way up. Batting averages are up. Is this a trend that's going to continue, or is it just kind of, a lot of times in the NBA, the referees start out, they're going to make certain calls all year long, like moving screens or whatever, and then it kind of floats away as the season rolls along. Do you think this is here to stay with the improvements that we've seen in Major League Baseball so far?
Yeah, the difference is, Skinny, is that it's an actual clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, umpire can't do anything about it. It just runs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, I don't know. Like I said, at the end of the year, I want to see what the numbers are. I don't care about 30 minutes off. If it's 30 minutes off, great. I want to see if people are coming.
Mm-hmm.
If they're getting more people watching on TV, if they're getting more people going to the stadium. If that's true, great. But if it isn't, I mean, what are we doing it for? With existing people? I don't know. But hey, whatever. I mean, that's fine. They can do whatever they want to do. And if people are happy, then I'll be happy too. I will say that the Tampa Bay Rays, fellas, pretty impressive what they're doing, man.
Yes, it is.
Very impressive.
My Brewers are awesome too. I picked up a team this year. We took a poll, and people taught me into rooting for the Brewers, and they're pretty good. And I know you liked them in your show, in the previous show. You liked them.
I like them, and I love their manager, Craig Counsell. I was around him when I was with the Diamondbacks, and baseball's a different sport, man. When you're in baseball and you're with players day in and day out, you know who is going to make a good coach or manager and who isn't. And I'm telling you, of all the years that I was around baseball, there were about 4 or 5 people that I thought, man, this dude's going to be a really good manager. And one of them was Bob Melvin, and one of them was Craig Counsell. And obviously, look at them. Both of them are really, really good. Bob Melvin, if you go back and look at Bob Melvin, fellas, if he would have been with Oakland, this dude's a Hall of Fame kind of guy. He really is. I mean, he's amazing. And I think, I picked San Diego I picked the Padres to win it all. So, but yeah, Counsell's a great manager. I mean, a great manager. And you need that. You need that stuff. They're talented. They got really good. Corbin Burns is an absolute superstar. So, yeah, the Brewers, they're not going to run away with that division, but I think they're the best team in that division.
Was there something about...
You got to start drinking Old Milwaukee.
Yeah, Old Milwaukee and Johnsonville Brats is going to be on the menu every day.
That is beautiful. That's good stuff.
Was there something about those guys, Counsell or Melvin, what was it about them that made you think, golly, these guys are going to be able to be really good?
In baseball, fellas, we sit around and talk all the time, and you talk about baseball. And when you hear guys' philosophies and what they're thinking or what they think, how many times we sat around and talked about what the manager should have done?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I could just tell. And then you can watch that you can see that they're watching the game, that they care about what's happening. And then usually a lot of catchers, make really good managers.
Yeah.
So Bob Melvin was the perfect. He was a backup catcher. I played with him in AAA. I played with him in the big league. Never a starter. Actually played behind Bob Brenly, when they were in San Francisco. So, yeah, and then Counsell was just very analytical. And then when we went out to the 20th anniversary of the World Series championship, and he was there, and I talked to him for about, 10, 15 minutes, and it's just unbelievable. I mean, you just think to yourself, yeah, dude, yeah, this is who I want. I would tell you this, if they ever get rid of him, if he wants to manage, all he's got to do is walk in somebody's office and talk to him for an hour, and they'll go, yeah, okay, this is my manager. It's kind of like that great commercial on TV where the dude from Guns N' Roses, what's his name?
Slash.
Oh, yeah.
Is that not one of the greatest commercials ever? I love that. He just goes, okay, you got the job.
He's like,
Yeah, all those other people sitting there thinking they're going to get the job. They're looking and going, what is this?
That is such a great commercial. It really is. I love that commercial.
All right, man. I know you got to get, so we appreciate you joining us here on a Monday, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay, listen, if I sound like I'm going downhill today because I'm dying, just send me a text message and say, dude, you're all right. Wake up. Wake up. Okay?
All right, man. All right.
All right, fellas. Thanks.
You bet. Have a great
See
day.
ya.
It's the ultimate
All right,
Jim Traber joining us here on a Monday from Sayre National. That is, every time that commercial comes on, it's like you see a different view of it.
Yeah.
And so then you see somebody else's face, and how sad they look. As soon as the first note comes off of Slash's guitar.
Well, his reaction too is like, you got the job. It's like, sweet. like he was surprised he got the job.
Really? You got a bunch of kids over here in your Slash from Guns N' Roses. Yeah, that is great. Hey, I realized something about the Masters, reading some stuff this weekend that I did not know. And it's a lot of the financial stuff. I wish I knew this before. On last Friday, we could talk about it with Scott.
I saw the pro shop alone.
Did you see that? Did you see those numbers?
What they say? Average about $1 million a day.
Yeah, $70 million for the week. It's $70 million for the merchandise for the week.
I saw that, and somebody replied with, "It still seems too low. It seems like it'd be much higher than that." But yeah, that doesn't shock me at all. And honestly, if I go to the Masters, that's probably the first thing I'm going to do is try to load up on a bunch of gear. For my, I could do my Christmas shopping right there for people. You know what I mean?
It's exactly what we were talking about last night at dinner. Like your Christmas shopping would be over.
Yeah, I'd get all my buddies a hat. I mean, I'd just be done with it right there.
But you know what the most amazing thing was?
What's that?
In all those numbers that I read, you know what they charge ESPN and CBS for the rights to broadcast the Masters?
It's probably not as much as I think. What is it?
0.
Wow.
They do not charge them a fee. They do not have rights fees. They don't charge them. CBS or ESPN.
What's the reasoning behind
0.
that?
They don't need it, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, they don't charge them anything.
That's
I did not know that.
Just incredible because of today's financial climate that you'd think they charge them a lot. And, we always hear about TV deals with college football and all this stuff. By the way, good job, Pac-12, going to the CW.
Yeah,
but
Pac-12 and Live Golf back to back.
But Masters, so they're making their money off of merch, ticket sales, and not a lot off their concessions because that's the same price.
It was like $8 million
off the concessions.
Off the concessions, $70 million off of their
it's just a well-oiled machine.
Merchandise. Yeah. They essentially are leaving. The estimate would be $250 million on the table by letting those two entities broadcast that.
And they don't
care. For nothing.
No, they don't care. They don't care.
But they do get total
control.
But that keeps it.
Does that keep the total control?
They get total
exactly.
Control of
keeps
the
the outside meddling away from it.
Well, you know what else it keeps? It keeps the windows a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
That people were up in arms yesterday morning that you weren't going to get to see Rahm and Koepka
until
the fourth hole.
Yeah.
Because the broadcast,
by then
the window wasn't open yet. They weren't.
Right.
The first ones you saw was 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
Or maybe that was Saturday morning.
I got so not confused, but what round are they playing now because of the delays and all that? I really had to pay attention to the leaderboard to know. Okay, this is actually the end of their third round. But yeah.
No, so the Masters.
And kudos, by the way, to the Masters for getting that done. We thought we'd be sitting here today watching, the final back nine or something, but they got it done. Yesterday was a beautiful day, and kudos to the grounds crew, too, because I was worrying about conditions, especially on the greens, and you didn't hear a lot of that. They said it rolled fine.
They got that sub-air system.
I know.
Suck it out of there.
Yeah.
It took like two inches of rain off of them.
Wow.
And you could see, Dottie Pepper and Trevor Immelman, which, by the way, I thought Trevor Immelman was awesome. A definite upgrade from Nick Faldo. And I didn't mind Nick Faldo like some people, but I thought he was awesome.
Yeah.
But they kept on talking about, you could see, and you could, if you knew what they were saying, you could see the greens starting to turn a lighter shade as the day went on with the breeze, with the sub-air working. You could see the greens starting to get faster, starting to get a little bit glassy looking. I think it's how they described it. But, yeah, it was – I mean, the Masters is just the greatest. It never – even in a 4-shot win by Jon Rahm, that the drama was as soon as his third shot got over the water on 15 after he laid up, as soon as that happened,
you knew
it was pretty well over.
Yeah.
But even in a 4-shot win, it's still the storylines coming out were great with Phil doing what he did, Spieth, that group, that pairing on Saturday. They shot 14 under low ball. It's just off the charts. I mean, how much fun would it have been to just follow them around and watch the level of play from those two guys. And then Rahm is just I don't think I mentioned earlier, I don't think there's any doubt that he's the best in the world. He has every facet. Everyone else, you can kind of pick something apart, like Scheffler. He hits it great, but he struggles on the greens, and he definitely did this week. You know, what Rory mined, whatever. Patrick Cantlay takes 5 hours to play a round of golf. That's a problem. But with Rahm, you really, now that he's kind of controlled, reined in some of the anger or whatever you want to call it, now that he's kind of taken care of that part of his game, I don't think there's a weakness at all. It's hard to find one. And that dude makes more left-to-right putts for a right-handed golfer than anybody I've ever seen. You know, those are the hard ones where you have to stay, you can't peek, and that dude makes them constantly from left to right. It's just amazing. So a great weekend for him and a great weekend, I think, for Live Golf with the way that their guys played down at Augusta National. Don't forget, hey, today you get a chance to see something that you don't get to see very often.
What's that?
5 o'clock, Ackley Park, Elk City, Clinton, District Baseball.
That's today.
Cash
right.
Mayfield will be on the hill.
That's right. That is today.
Go on out, enjoy the beautiful weather, watch a little baseball. It'll be a lot of fun. Thanks to Sayre National, everybody here. It was a great weekend this weekend for the alumni tournament. It'll be another great weekend here in a couple of weeks with the Bob coming up the 29th and 30th. Still a few spots left to get signed up in the morning, but you better take them because after everybody was here this weekend, those spots will go fast. So if you want to play, you better get on it. Get on the horn and get over here to Sayre National, 928-9046. All right, man. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks to Jim. Thanks to everybody. Have a great Monday. It's Skinny on Sports and the Sports Animal.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.
That ball is blistered to right. Way back. Goodbye.
The clubhouse at Sayre National is your spot. Maybe you just need a spot to relax after a round of golf. The sports bar at Sayre National is the place with huge TVs and plenty of cold beverages to turn those bogeys on the course into birdies afterward. Don't forget the banquet room can hold a lot of folks with access to the sports bar as well. Come enjoy the atmosphere at Sayre National, Western Oklahoma's most inclusive club.